Hola, ¿cómo estás, mis amigos? I'm super excited about this video because yes, it is different as you can tell. Today I'm going to be sharing why I'm so passionate about studying Spanish and what I've been learning as an A1, A2 learner, and of course the resources that have been such a godsend. If you would have asked me a year ago if I had any plans of learning a language, I would have said no because I'm too busy. My, it's so interesting how it's so easy to make time for something like learning a new language when you're excited and passionate about it. And that is honestly what happened, and it was truly an evolution once I found Damon Dominique's YouTube channel. For those who don't know, Damon is known for being a travel vlogger who is an American residing in France currently, and he's a polyglot, and he has wonderful videos that just truly show the beauty of cultural immersion. And I started to really fall in love with the different sides of France that I did not know was there. So initially I wanted to learn French, which is funny. So I learned Spanish by way of French. And shortly after making a decision, okay, I'm gonna learn how to speak French fluently, I meet a guy and start dating him, and he is a polyglot. How funny the universe, how funny God works that way. Oh, I just finished. Wow, that was a rough lesson that I had today with my tutor on Preply. It's rough because I wrote in my diary for homework, and I write in Spanish just talking about things I did because right now we're working on a lot of past tense and getting to the point where like there's sometimes I'll say something and write something in Spanish and she's like, what are you trying to say? And so this time I just wrote everything I wanted to say in English, and then I went back, wrote it in Spanish. Such a mistake. Such a mistake. Because I started using or just making all these complex sentences, and I was starting to get into things that she says are super advanced. For example, one of the things she says is super advanced and that she explained to me today, but she was like, I'll explain to you today, but we aren't gonna start diving into this for a while, but we will later. It's because I wrote this sentence about how, I wrote a paragraph about how my best friend Michelle moved to Miami 2 weeks before I moved here. And so the complicated sentence was, I hoped that she would still be here when I arrived, but no, she left 2 weeks before I got here. My teacher was telling me that it's complicated because usually, saying I hope, like I hope you feel better, you do like yo espero. And mine was complicated because espero for hope usually is when you hope for something that hasn't happened, but I was hoping for something that has already passed, like it's been completed. And so apparently that's a whole nother way to conjugate words, which I didn't even know. I've taken about 3 years of Spanish in college. We did not get to that place. So for one, it's cool that she was explaining that to me, but it was also like, oh man, she really I don't say got on me, but she's like, next time, don't translate from English. Take what you already know and just speak from Spanish first. Knowing Spanish in Texas naturally is a bonus, right? I had no idea. I've actually been living on hard mode for 4 years in Texas by knowing no more than hola and lo siento. His ability to speak Spanish to our Uber driver, to our DoorDasher, it just made life so much easier. And you would think, oh yeah, these are really short interactions you have with people, but honey, it made a big difference, and it truly inspired me. I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm gonna start with I'm gonna start with Spanish. Maybe I'll come back to French. We'll see, but I've just been going hard because of that. Hey, so it's been an interesting week. I got a little bit burnt out, but I'm still really excited after my Preply tutoring session that I had today. So I do, whoa, if you haven't heard of Preply, you have to get on it. Preply is my favorite resource by far. It's really affordable one-on-one tutoring. If you don't do well with remote classes, I don't either, it's okay. Preply is where it's at because your teacher or tutor will customize whatever your goals are and create that into the lesson. I use it to do a lot of just casual conversations, and sometimes we'll do an actual lesson on specific grammar, or we'll just go through assignments together. Highly recommend it. italki is another alternative too, if you want to check out the prices, but fantastic. So I do 2 a week, and I'm thinking about getting a second Preply tutor just because I'm noticing that it really helps with my momentum, and it's really helpful to speak to more Spanish speakers throughout the week versus only twice a week. And something that I've run into recently is that I'm having trouble with structuring my sentences, English translations of Spanish and vice versa, because it's not equal. I'm still speaking like an English speaker, and I'm trying to think more like a Spanish speaker. And so what I've decided to do is go to my local library. I tried looking online for A1, A2, and I'm in a really weird area where I'm not A1, but I'm definitely not A2 just yet. Almost, but I feel like I can read A2 comfortably with knowing, with being comfortable with not knowing some things, but not feeling lost because I don't know significant things. So I'm challenging myself by getting these books. So I saw this on Amazon. Let me flip the camera around for you. Okay. It's kind of awkward. I'm just gonna hold it because I trust holding it more than having it up. So this book I saw on Amazon, and I was flipping through it, and it seems pretty easy. So I feel like I'll be able to fly through this one quite quickly, but still learning some vocab here and there to add to my flashcards. This is Hunger Games. I've already read Hunger Games maybe a few times, but it's been several years since I read it. So I'm not super stoked on it, but I remember loving the book. So I think the fact that I've already read this in English, so I know the plot, I know the characters really well, I believe that will help me read the book faster and also have a better understanding of the sentence structures and why they structure them that way. So I'm excited for that reason. Not really excited to read Hunger Games again because I was obsessed with it, and so I'm kind of over it now. And then the book that I'm definitely not going to finish, but I'm so excited about, is this one. It's like a fantasy romance, my understanding is of this book. If anyone's read this, let me know in the comments. But AI says that this is a reach for me. Of course, in the kindest way, it said it's a reach for me. But I figured if I get bored with the other ones, I'd probably be up for a challenge. So I got 3 books in the library. I will be starting with this one, El Niño en el Cima de la Montaña. So, just to give you a taste of what I'm working with right now. Te esperaré. I'm excited. Library's closing, so. Okay, so spoiler alert. I had to return those library books. There is no way, absolutely no way, I was going to be able to read that Hunger Games book in less than 6 months. Like, it took an hour to just translate and understand the first page. The first page, like, do you understand how serious that is? The first page of any book is always like half a page, because it pushes down, so it says chapter 1, capítulo 1. I had to demote my books and get more, I wouldn't say children's books, but like in between kids books and young adult books. So I'm reading the book that you saw in the beginning of this video, The Little Girl Who Drank the Moon, and I like it so far. That's been holding my interest, and so that kind of goes into the next thing. If you're going to get a book, you need to make sure you're reading books that hold your interest. Some people can find success in reading little kid books. It just doesn't hold my focus. I need something a little more substance, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I had to switch to that. So I'm gonna wrap things up with this video because I have absolutely been dragging my feet on editing this video. So anyways, the other thing I recommend for learning is just figuring out your learning style, like I just did about the books, figuring out what type of content would fare well with my attention span. And so you may not need to use Preply like I do. You may not need a tutor 3 times a week. Maybe you need a tutor once a week. Maybe you're fine with an in-person class. Maybe you're fine with just watching YouTube videos. Just figure out what works best for you. I think that's honestly what takes the longest when you're starting out with learning languages, because there's so many resources nowadays. Now, the other thing I want to recommend is flashcards that are, I believe it's called time-space learning, something like that. So I use what's known as Anki cards, but Anki has been purchased by Noki. These Noki flashcards I use on my phone, sometimes my desktop, and they do what's called, I believe, time-space learning. So let's say I'm learning the phrase me gusta mi perro, and I get it right a few times. For however the algorithm works, because of my consistency of getting it correct, and obviously it's getting easier, it may not show me that card for another 4 days. It's almost like right when the word or phrase is on the cusp of being forgotten from your brain, it will bring it back up. It's really, really, really cool. Really cool. Sometimes it's annoying because it like brings stuff up frequently, but that's because I frequently don't get it right. Okay, lastly, the other thing I've noticed that's been really helpful, and I hope this doesn't come across controversial because I'm not trying to be that person, but because I am in the salsa and bachata community here, I have gone on dates with men who are native Spanish speakers because, you know, bachata, salsa, like it comes from Latin America, you know, tango, like I've done some tango. Tango is from Argentina. I'm getting into zouk. Zouk is from Brazil. So naturally it attracts native Spanish speakers to learn a type of dancing because of the culture. And so naturally I've been going on dates with men who are native Spanish speakers, and let me tell you, it's beneficial. And I think what's nice is that they also want to improve their English, and I also want to get better at Spanish. Some of them do speak Portuguese, so I've been learning a bit more about Portuguese. Not to say I'm like dating a lot of men. I've only been on 2 or 3 dates with people from my dance company, so I'm not like that. But I have noticed, and I do understand now, when I see polyglots who have a partner who's from France, who's from Norway, like it's like, oh yeah, that's why she's so good at Norwegian, because I mean, obviously she's motivated to learn because that's important, but she has a partner who she can practice with. Like, it is so imperative to have someone to practice with, which is why I see my tutor 3 days a week. If I had a boyfriend who spoke Spanish, that would be amazing. I'm not trying to get a boyfriend solely to learn Spanish. But hey, if one comes along, I'm not gonna complain. Okay, enough of that. Yeah, so that's my journey so far, and I've been honestly addicted to language learning. I'm already thinking about what language I should learn next. And yeah, if you haven't started learning and you're considering it, just know it can be very inexpensive. Check out the rates on Preply, especially if you're learning Spanish, because these Latin American countries, you know, the currency exchange is significantly different. So you can end up paying $10, $15 an hour. Even some places, even like $5, $7 an hour for a tutor, depending on where they're located. I just feel like it's the way, where is that? Okay, I think I'm done with this video. Let's get this big boy up, and I'll see you guys in the next video.